Oh, so much chocolate. Over the years of using wet palettes, I've run into lots of problems and learned how to overcome those problems and make my wet palette even better as a result. From curling paper to mouldy sponges, from separating paints to whether you should use metallics or not, it's in this video. I'm also going to show you how to make your own DIY wet palette on a budget. Nice. As ever, if you've got questions, ask them down in the comments below. I'll respond to everyone, and it's great to hear from you. For the first 20 years of painting, I'd never heard of a wet palette. I just used a box lid. 3 years ago, I purchased a wet palette. Best 40 quid ever. £40? Are you joking? Alright, calm down. You can make one for less than a fiver if you want. So what is a wet palette? Well, it's a box with something absorbent inside it and a semi-permeable membrane on top of that to keep your paints separate from the absorbent layer beneath. Ideally, you should have a lid too, so you can keep your paints hydrated for as long as possible. Essentially what you're looking to do is extend the life of your paints and prevent them drying out by adding moisture to them as you're working with them. That's a wet palette. So we need a box. Any box is fine, but this wet palette box costs £5 and comes with free chocolates. You need a sponge. Again, anything's fine. You can use kitchen paper or any absorbent cloth if you want to. Anything that holds water. But my favourite is this one from Lidl. And finally, you need some parchment paper or baking paper, but make sure you get the unwaxed kind. As I said, you can use any type of box and any type of sponge. I got this design from Marco Frassoni a few years back.
Hello guys, welcome back to Rogers Maker. It's Marco here.
And it'll work for you in a pinch if, for example, you can't afford to spend 40 quid on a wet palette, which would be fair enough. For me though, I like tools that are designed for the job. Nice tools make the job more satisfying, in my opinion. They're not essential though. Whatever wet palette you have, wet palettes aren't some magic tool. They're not perfect, they've got their shortcomings. So in this next bit, I'm going to run through all of the things I think you need to know to use a wet palette. Before that though, I'm just going to offer up my usual prayer to the AI and ask that you like the video if you're enjoying it, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and if you can, leave a comment down below. It really helps other people find the video. To support the channel, you can click on any of the links down below. The links stay active for 30 days, so anything you buy from Element Games, Umbrella Games, or Redgrass Games within those 30 days will give me a small commission at no extra cost to yourself. If you do that, thank you very much. If you don't do that, thank you very much for watching. Anyway, back to wet palettes. This palette is the Redgrass Games Studio version 1. The version 2 is inbound, so I'm not going to spend loads of time talking about this one, but everything I talk about in this video applies to almost any wet palette you can think of. Start with an empty box. If it's a bit grubby, don't worry about it. Just give it a quick rinse out, use washing up liquid or dish soap if you want to, just until the paint runs clear, and then you can start. Next, add your sponge. Again, if this is looking dirty, give it a quick rinse under the tap. Don't use any soaps or anything like that, just normal tap water is absolutely fine, and just squeeze it out until the water you're using is running clear. Pop it in the palette, and on to the next step. Now before I add water, I want to talk about mould. You'll get mould anywhere you get water, a little bit of warmth, and a bit of time. So don't panic. If you do get mould in your wet palette, all you need to do is follow the steps I just went through, rinsing the palette out, and then start again. To prevent it though, there's a couple of things you can do. Lots of people will recommend chucking copper coins or copper strips into the bottom of the wet palette, and that's fine. It works really nicely. If that works for you, great. Personally, I don't like the extra lumps and bumps it causes in the palette, so I add a little bit of IPA into my water before I top my wet palette. Be careful not to add too much because you can dissolve the foam if you use too much over time, but just a tiny little bit in there, just so you can vaguely smell the IPA when you're using it, works a treat and you won't get any mould in your wet palette. So take your water and pour it until your sponge won't take any more. You're going to have to experiment a little bit because you might prefer more or less water. Personally, I prefer it a little wetter.
Title your sex tape.
And what I mean by that is, I fill it up. So the sponge is completely saturated and it's just started to float on the layer of water beneath it, and it's got a slight film of water covering the sponge itself. That for me is absolutely perfect. Paper next, pop it on. If you don't have enough water here, what you'll find is the paper curls but doesn't uncurl and you'll end up with ridges on your paper. If that happens, easy, just add a little bit more water, lift up the paper, stretch it out, and away you go. Okay, so all set up and ready to go. Let's add some paint. One of the reasons I really like the Ferrero Rocher box or the Studio XL is their size. They give you lots of extra space to extend your paints, or make larger pools of mixes, and just generally have a little bit more room to work with. There's no big secret here. Add the colours you want to your palette, and they stay there, hydrated, ready to use. And that is the big advantage right there. If you do this on a normal palette, the paint will dry quite quickly. But using a wet palette, everything is there, ready to go, which just removes one more barrier that keeps you from painting. This is really helpful if you're wet blending, as it helps keep your paint alive while you're working with it, which helps you speed up. So that's all good if your paint is perfect consistency. But don't you have to dilute your paint and stuff? Well, it depends. You can obviously do either. I often find I can just extend the paint to the right consistency just by mixing on the wet palette, but sometimes that doesn't work, and I'll need to add a little bit of water or a little bit of medium into the mix too, just to get the result I'm after. The amount you need to do this will vary from paint to paint, and you'll need to experiment a little bit. As I say, it's not an exact science, it's more of an art. At the end of the day, you need to find what works for you, and then do that. That's basically it. But I wanted to rapid fire through some other issues, just in case they help you in the future. If your paint is too dry, try adding water back to your wet palette sponge. It'll rehydrate everything. You can even add it directly to the paint itself. Bear in mind though, as you spread your paint further and further and further and it becomes thinner and thinner, it's obviously going to dry faster. So there will come a point where you can't reactivate it. At that point, bin it and start again. If you leave your paint on a palette overnight, the paints might separate, so you end up with a pigment and then a sort of a white liquid on top of it. That's just gravity at work and the paints falling to the bottom and leaving your mediums and binders on top. Usually you can just mix them back together, no drama. But sometimes they're too far gone. Either the paints have taken on lots of water and become unusable, or everything's separated just a little bit too much and aren't savable. If you do try and paint with this, you end up with a chalky residue, as you end up with too much matting agent, or the paints don't bond properly, so you end up with weird pooling all over the place and they don't behave as you would expect. So if in any doubt, it's only paint, chuck it and restart. How long will my paint last on a wet palette? Well, it depends, obviously. I've had paints last as long as a month or so and still remain good. But really, wet palettes are only designed for one paint session, so however long that is. If you're leaving your wet palette this long, that's fine, but you'll reach a point where your paper itself starts to break down, and when that happens, you'll end up with tiny little bits in your paint. You obviously can't have that, so at that point, your paper's done, put it in the bin, move on to another one. What paints can you use on a wet palette? Whatever you want to. I use inks, contrast paints, heavy body acrylics, fluid acrylics, even metallics. Go for your life. Be a bit careful using metallics on wet palettes though. You need to keep them well separated or you'll find they'll just bleed into all the other paints and make everything else metallic too. And that's not a good look. So I have two wet palette reviews coming up on the channel. One from Game Envy, which is a newbie to this market, but offers lots of what look to be exciting new features, so I'm looking forward to review that. And the second is the successor to the Redgrass game Studio version 1, the imaginatively named version 2. Exciting stuff. If you aren't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want something exciting to watch now, click on one of these videos here. And if not, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.